Hello, and welcome to Member Musing, the pivotal podcast series brought to you by the Middle East and North Africa's Leisure and Attractions Council. We bring you engaging dialogues regarding the MENA leisure and entertainment sector, as well as spotlighting the pioneering products, thrilling offerings, and amazing accomplishments of MENA members. Today, I am joined by Ernest Yale, founder and chief executive officer of Triotech, who designs, develops, and manufactures attractions and rides for the global leisure and entertainment market. Ernest, a warm welcome to you all the way from Montreal. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you for welcoming me, and always exciting to talk to our customers. And from MENA, I've been going to first in Dubai since 2005, 2006, and recently doing a lot of things in Saudi. So very exciting region for Triotech, very important region for us.
And I'm excited to pick your brain about your work in the region and your thoughts on the growth in this region as well. But I'm excited to talk to you as a person, Ernest, because Triotech has been given the nickname of rebels of the industry. And I want to delve a bit deeper into that. So can you tell me what you think has earned you this nickname, whilst you take me through the evolution of Triotech since its founding in 1999?
Yes. So this year is going to be our 25th anniversary in November, actually. So yeah, who told you that we're rebels? I mean, yeah, I've had I think we had competitors once called us the pirates or rebels, which I think is a compliment. I remember when I read the story, the first days of Apple, they had like a pirate flag. And I think, look, we're a bunch of nerds. You know, I'm a software engineer. I've been playing with games, and I've been coding actually since the age of 12. I've been starting to code my own games when I was 12 years old. So we've always been constantly playing with new technologies, always trying to change things. You know, I've always traveled to the CES show, try the new technologies. So I guess, we don't like the status quo, and we like things to evolve. We like new things, we like to see how can we bring these attractions to the next level? How can we make them exciting for customers? So maybe that's where it comes from.
So do you think you started as a rebel, or perhaps you entered the market in 1999, and over the years the company grew? That's when you felt a bit more confident, and you thought the opportunity was there to stand out from the crowd and be a bit of maybe a disruptor in the market. I was I was pre-teen in 1999, so I can only imagine kind of what it was like back then on the global leisure and entertainment market. And I know you sort of began in North America, as you're based in Montreal, and you've grown since then. So can you maybe pinpoint some milestones since your founding?
Yeah, oh my God, 1999 it's a different world. We didn't have all these smartphones, internet, and everything. We actually, our first IAPA show was in Atlanta. So that's like 2,000 kilometers from Montreal. We're a small company, so we actually drove there because we couldn't even afford the flight back then. And so it was a completely different world. To me, when I grew up when video games started, and the Ataris and the arcades, and it was driven a lot by Japanese companies. So I remember, seeing I had a Pac-Man t-shirt here. I remember Namco, Sega, all these companies. So actually, I would never imagine that we could be in that space, compete with these companies. So we just basically developed a very simple arcade game, which was a first-person shooter. We brought it to the show. We had like a 3-meter by 6-meter stand. And I was in awe with the industry. And so I guess at that point, it was just a question of work in a field that we loved, And slowly, I remember at the first trade show, I saw a few companies, and I actually asked them, as a nerd and a software engineer and a guy that played with technologies, hey, why can't you do this like that? I remember like a bowling game, and I was saying, can you like track the ball and add some special effects? And I remember that person, which was probably one of the big mini bowling companies, actually offered me a job. It's like, can you work with us? And I'm like, well, I just started my own company, Triotech. So, but it's always been for me. I look at an attraction, I try things, and our team is the same. We try to see how can we bring this to the next level. How can we have guests have a better enjoyment or a better competitive aspect? You know, bring what I've seen in the video game world, which is very competitive. You know, you customize your own character and bring this to out of home attractions. So that's how we started, and it evolved from smaller attractions to bigger attractions to now we build. You know, we build Primordial. I mean, we did all the technologies around Primordial, which is an indoor-outdoor roller coaster in the US, which won Best New Attractions in USA Today last January, which is a huge attraction with coaster, with a drop and things like that. So that's, I would imagine in my life that I would work on such an incredible attraction. So yeah.
That's actually really lovely to hear. Sort of, obviously in 1999 you had this vision, starting a company with a passion and obviously with a very creative mind, and then gathering other like-minded people along the
Yes.
way, but never having a goal, maybe a 5-year goal or a 10-year goal. But now we're sort of 25 years on and you're creating things you never imagined. You know, I can imagine that's similar to a lot of other brands, but also actually perhaps a bit of a metaphor for the region as well. No one knew, you know, back then in the 90s or early noughties, the possibilities and what would be building, that we are building today. And I'm going to come to sort of talking about Saudi, which we're hearing a lot of projects going on. I know you've got quite an exciting project going on there as well. But I just want to come back to more the details of the products that you create. You mentioned small arcade games, coin op, and this sort of cinema style experiences. And then you just mentioned there your Primordial, which is a coaster ride. So I think, does that keep you challenged or excited, and your team excited as well to be offering different kinds of products?
Yeah, you were talking about, I surrounded myself, so we're 200 plus people at Triotech, and it's all people like when I was younger, I was like that. I guess now I'm older, but we have young kids who are, you know, I see myself in them, and literally, it's like we have hundreds of concepts. It's more of a what do we do next, and what's realistic, what's feasible. The ROI is very important to our customers, the return on investment. Budgets are important because when you create an attraction, it's initially you have like these dozens of ideas, but you have to be able to build it. You know, it has to be relatable. One thing that I've learned, which might be surprising to people, is innovation in the MENA region. I would say the GCC. What I like about that region is people are very ambitious. You know, you see always in Dubai with these flying taxis and everything we see. Sometimes we're like, okay, this is in Dubai for sure. I mean, what did they come up with? Like, you know, and what's the last thing they came up with? So that people are very open to say, okay, what if we did this? You know, some region are like, I want to see it first. Somebody else does it, and we want to try it first. But in the MENA region, I think people are very open to new ideas. So basically, yeah, I was saying that what I'm surprised though, it's an idea, if it's too innovative, if people don't relate to it, we've done some of those, then people are afraid to try it because they don't understand what it is. This is why, you know, coasters or I don't know, bumper cars, dark rides, people know what it is. So what we try to do is get them on a dark ride or a roller coaster and try to add a twist to it. If you do an attraction which is too out there, like I remember we did like an interactive floor attraction, And at IAPA, the trade show, everybody loved it. But then when we launched it in the family entertainment centers, people were a bit afraid and embarrassed to try it. They're like, they wouldn't understand it. People like, it's like when you open Netflix, you immediately you go to the type of movies that you like, or sometimes you just watch a classic movie because you know how it's, you just want to relax and you want to have fun, and you don't want to like take a chance to lose 2 hours on something you won't like. So I think it's very similar to that. When people do a coaster, they can do the same coaster every year and they'll always love it because it's something that they recognize. So we have to, as designers, we have to keep that in mind. That I think that's very important, to not to have a right balance between innovation and something that people can relate to. That's very important, and it has to be fun.
And I know you're very conscious at Triotech of creating practical realities for your brands. And so it's a little bit what you kind of were saying there. Obviously, there's being unique, there's being innovative and pioneering. And sometimes our creative ideas can, run away from us. And what we might think is a really cool offering, attraction or a ride might work for some operators, but actually for others it might not. And I know you're kind of fully integrated and you work really closely from inception to customers coming through the doors and trying your attractions for the first time. I know that's important for you to deliver that for the various brands that you work with.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time. I try to spend a lot of times. I was on a trip recently to Central Asia. I came back to Dubai. I went out with my good friend Prakash from ASI. We went into a few of the local attractions. We work closely with groups for years now. Now like Allotem, Al Hoker. Obviously, we work now with the bigger partners like Seven, Kidia, and others. So it's very important to, I've traveled now about 100 countries. So I think it's very important to understand the difference in cultures. For instance, I give you an example, like I love Bollywood movies, and I think they're like in the Middle East, they're all over. I mean, and they're very different than people in the US. They would think, what are these movies are boring or whatever. They're incredible budgets, incredibly fun. I remember we did a ride with a Bollywood movie at one of the parks in Dubai. So it's very important to be relevant to the local culture, but at the same time, you want to do something universal and fun. Having fun, gameplay, to me, especially with kids and teenagers, it's very universal. That's where the success of Disney comes from, creating something that has a universal appeal, and less of talking, more of visual, something that you immediately understands. Most of our attractions, because you wanna have thousands of people every day, they really last 4 minutes, 3 minutes. So if they're interactive, you don't have time really to try to understand how to play. So it has to be very casual. It has to be, you have to immediately understand. If I interact, it has to be like hand gesture. It has to be immediate. If you have a dark ride, you shoot on targets. It has to be very simple. Otherwise, people don't have fun, or they've been waiting for an hour in line, sometimes more. You want to give them a fun experience that's very intensive, but that they'll remember, and they'll come back and they'll tell their friends and they'll post on Instagram or whatever social media that they use. So that's very important.
That's a very good point, Ernest. And I'm somebody who, depending on the context, whether it's kind of leisure and entertainment or something else, I don't want to focus too much on instructions or understanding what to do. I think I'm a relatively intelligent person, so I want to be able to pick something up and, go ahead and do it, be entertained, as I say, whatever the context may be. So that's a really good point. And a perspective, for any manufacturer, designer, and even operator as well, to bear that in mind. Just kind of going back there, Ernest, you talking about being relatable, but offering something having a balance between relatability and uniqueness. And coming to the region, I've had another guest on the podcast talk about what they would love to see more of in this region, and that being a bit more cultural, and looking at the history and looking at the surroundings and what makes the MENA region unique anyway. Is this something that you would agree with? Is this something that
Yeah,
you're
very much
looking
so.
at in terms of your project? I know
Yeah.
you did you've opened a ride in Shanghai, and that is based on the storytelling is about
Yes.
the history of Shanghai. So I
Yes.
think that would be very exciting in this region as well.
Yeah, actually, I was at I think it was a MENA conference last year, and I was a guest speaker, and I said, and a lot of people came to me afterwards. I said, look, there's a lot of people here who are from Western countries, who've worked with Disney, Universal, whatever, and they're expats and they're here in the region, and but what we don't want is to create another Disney here. We would love, for instance, I was talking about Saudi. How can we create attractions which are relevant to the Saudi culture and also for tourists like me? If I go, for instance, you're saying Shanghai, or let's say I go in Thailand or in France, I want to live and see and experience the local culture. Recently, I was in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan. I went to Samarkand, Bukhara, and Silk Road. I mean, you don't go there. I mean, you go there to understand the history, the science. They created like observatories like thousands of years ago. It was incredible. Actually, there are some projects now in Uzbekistan about bringing the attractions that feature those that history. So I think it's very important for Saudi, for the UAE. I recently visited the Museum of the Future, which I really liked. So I think bring technology, but make it relevant to your culture. Maybe use a Canadian company like us, but we are here to help you. We are basically giving you tools to create your own attraction, your own experience, so people can experience your history, your stories, and people want that. If I wanted to have a Disney experience, I would go to Orlando. You know what I mean? So this is what I think is coming actually for an attraction like Into the Deep. It's very relevant to the local geography. It's the underwater. I actually am a diver. I'm a scuba diver, and I dove in the Red Sea, actually on the Egyptian side in Hurghada, and it's one of the most beautiful reefs that I've seen. And now they're developing the Saudi side, with Neom and all the Red Sea on that side. So why not have attractions that show that to the world, and hopefully at Triotech we can help our customers, our partners. I call them partners because we develop attractions in partnerships. We basically give them tools, but it's their IP, their creation. We can use foreign IP, but I love projects which are more using cultural icons or the story of a country. I love museums. I love to explore. On my own free time, I've been going to museums for 20 plus years, and I think sometimes museums for kids, especially, they think they're a bit boring, but we're trying, hopefully to bring a bit of make these show the culture in a more dynamic way by developing these attractions. So that's hopefully how I see it like that. Hopefully we can help in that direction.
So, Ernest, you've just started talking about your Into the Deep, right? So
Yeah.
let's see how much you can tell me. You're giving me a little bit more than I thought you might. So I'll pick your brain a bit more about it. So Into the Deep is your new project, upcoming project at the Six Flags Qiddiya City in Saudi
Yes.
Arabia. And so it's described as your largest ever next generation ride. So what's the storytelling behind that? Can you give me a launch date for that, or a rough idea maybe when we can look forward to seeing it? And perhaps how did the project come about, actually? So a few things there. Choose which one you want to talk about first.
Yeah, well, look, obviously the project came about from Kidia, and we've been working in the region more and more, and so we have reference projects, and the whole concept came from them, but it's a collaboration, and it's our biggest dark ride ever. I mean, it's just the track is 2,400 square meters. And it's an underwater expedition. I was saying I'm a diver, so I mean, you've seen, there's one. I have to be careful because they will release the dates, they will release all the graphics, but I can talk a bit about the ride, and it's an underwater expedition, so I'm very excited as a diver. And you're on a mission to restore the beauty of the ocean and the wonder of the life in the ocean. So it's a dark ride. A lot of dark rides are about shooting zombies and things like that, and that one is really different. You're going to use an interactive device, but you'll be able to interact with the life underwater. So again, I mentioned the beauty of the ocean, but the attraction itself, graphically, it's beautiful. The colors underwater, I mean, it's really magical, actually, and it's on huge screens. So we assembled some of these screens in Canada, and the team from Kidia came, Six Flags, and they were really amazed, and I was amazed by the beauty of the graphics, the animation. We're using the latest, obviously, computer engines for the next generation of graphics and motion vehicles. They're very dynamic. You have an unobstructed view, so everybody's in the same row because it's interactive. We don't want to have people in the second row, and yeah, it's a thrilling underwater expedition. You are going to be 4 players per cart. There's going to be 9 interactive media-based scenes with all the special effects. The vehicle is very dynamic, so it's going to move a lot and it's going to turn with rapid acceleration, and the appeal is going to be for everyone. It's going to be a family ride. What I've learned with Ninjago, the ride behind me, and what we've been told by Legoland is that the kids enjoy the ride with their parents, which is not always the case, and they tell the parents about the characters, and usually the kids are more technically savvy, so they react more to what's happening around them. But the parents, sometimes you're with a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and the kid gets it much quicker and shows the parents, which is usually the other way around, that what's happening in the world when the parents teach the kid. But the kids are so savvy that they're able to interact with that technology. So that interaction gives a great experience to the parents. The parents love it. That's the feedback that they gave us. And by having groups of 4 in the same vehicle, it's cozy. I mean, it's not like a huge cart with 20 people. So we feel that that's the right balance to live that underwater experience. So hopefully, I've said a bit about that attraction, but I'll let Kidia and Six Flags reveal all the other secrets, because I've been sworn to silence, or not to say too much, I guess. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's more than I get sometimes, Ernest, about brands' upcoming projects. It sounds like it's the best of Triotech,
Yeah,
and what you have to offer. And I can imagine how excited you are and your team is as well. And not only the best for your brand, but the elements are offering what's at the core of the leisure and entertainment industry, bringing families or friends together. And you said about that learning aspect, that teaching aspect, just that having fun as well, that discovery, that idea of going under the water. Obviously, the ocean is a natural element, but there's still so much we don't know about it. So it almost feels fictional, and there's a mystery to it, and we all love the idea of what's going underneath, without going underneath it, and that's obviously not what your average person can do. So we will hopefully not wait too long for that project. Just before we end,
I can say it's coming soon. It's coming soon. So yeah, it's not years. So
well,
hopefully.
we'll be sure to hear about it. Manalik really champions its members, and we're always so proud, and so happy to highlight your projects, your successes, and it's amazing, what Triotech is currently doing. Just before we go, is there anything in the next few years that you're excited about? Obviously, probably can't really say anything, but you've just said you've been traveling a lot. Are we going to see more Triotech projects globally? Are we going to see a few more in the region?
Well, both. You're going to see a lot of projects from Triotech, and we already signed multiple projects in the region recently, so I can't talk about it. But hopefully, I'll come back, or you will be the first to know. But we have a lot. We have a lot coming to the region, and again, a lot of innovation. So on my side, what I can say is. One of my personal projects, I'm the owner of Triotech, so we are a manufacturer of attraction. But one of my dreams, and hopefully it's going to happen now in the next 2 years, is to open and kind of like an R&D center in Canada where we can experience new technologies, because I want to be closer to the guests. So we will probably own a location in Canada where people can come and experience attractions that are very innovative, and we'll get the guest feedback, and then we'll be able to tweak the attractions. One of my dream, and I can say that today, a lot of young kids, I'm talking about teenagers, dream to work in this industry, work with computers, create games. So I want to launch a platform. I don't know exactly how we'll do it. We'll have basically guests submit ideas, and they'll be able to potentially work on content or games for our attractions that will be featured in our center, which hopefully will open probably in 2 years. So I remember when I was 12 coding, and I think I was a bit after that, I was 16. I learned that, it's a job, it's a paid job. You can create video games and you're paid for it. And to me, it was like, wow, I was just doing it for fun. So hopefully we'll be able to have young kids, teenagers who dream to work in this industry. Would love to collaborate with them and have their ideas and attractions be launched on a global scene. We are in I don't know exactly how many countries, because we have so small attractions, but I think we are in close to 100 countries all over the world. So we have a platform. I think this year we'll be at 1 billion. We approximated 1 billion people have experienced a Triotech attraction. Just the Ninjago, that's multi-million people per park per year. All the simulators we've sold, thousands of motion simulators. We have hundreds of interactive theaters. So I think we're at 1 billion people, and hopefully we'll have a few more billions in the next 10 years.
I was going to say another billion. Ernest, that all sounds amazing. And it's amazing to hear your passion, and what you want to keep offering the industry. The research and development project and sort of institute center sounds amazing. And if I had more time, I'd love to talk to you about the next generation coming up into the industry. But perhaps we'll leave that till next time. But it's a really interesting topic, and it sounds like you're already on top of it. Thank you so much, Ernest, for joining me on Member Musing. As we've heard, you've been chatting across the world, checking up on your projects, making new connections. So I really appreciate you making the time to share your perspective, not only with me, but obviously with our audience as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Brooke. I really enjoyed the conversation. And, I'm just going to say hi to all my friends in the Middle East and the MENA region, and looking forward to see all of you guys soon.
Thank you, Ernest. So, to our audience, please go and check out Triotech's website and, of course, their social media handles to learn more about the pioneering projects. You'll find the links to those websites in the description section. As usual, please do also check out MENA's social handles and website, where on the website you will now find all the podcast episodes, as well as on Spotify and on YouTube. So you can go ahead and check out those free resources to hear about different trends, advice, and insights, just like those that Ernest has given today about the MENA region's leisure and attractions industry. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Member Musing. Until next time, goodbye.